Hello, everyone. It's Spirit House again. I'm here to read part one of the message of the divine Iliad. Sorry, part one of the message of the divine Iliad by Walter Russell, and it's book two in part one, and it is called "The Book of Rest, a Communion," and that's just the intro. And I shall begin. Also, yeah, if you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And any donations are welcome. You can find it in the description box of my page. They're much appreciated, and I thank you all. Welcome to new subscribers as well. All right, I'll begin. The Book of Rest, a Communion. I am in the light. I know the light. I am in the spirit. The doors of dimension have closed upon my body and shown me to be a living light shining out of the darkness. I know the source of things beyond the extension of things. I am one with the essence of things beyond the motion of things. I know my one was excuse me. I know my one I can't talk today. I know my oneness with the one. God abideth in me. I know that I am he. I know God's kingdom of the light. I know my universality. The consciousness of space is mine. The light of God's equilibrium is my guide. I know its balance, unextended, undivided. Out of its essence comes the word and the law to counsel me. The language of light is mine to know. All that is light. Thou, my father, mother, has commanded that I write down in words for man the meaning within thy light, which is written upon my heart in waves of thy inspired essence of meaning, which I must interpret into man's words. Guide thou me, thou source of me, as I write words which shall be truly thine, not mine alone, nor even thine and mine. Okay, so part one, the word. I am the knower of the known. I am the sexless knower of the known. In me is the consciousness of all knowing, and that is my power. In me, the unconditioned one, is the whole. There are no parts, nor are there beginnings, nor endings in me, the one conscious whole. I am the dual thinker of unfolding parts of the known, the imaginer of imagined forms which emerge from my knowing, through my thinking, to manifest my knowing. My dual thinking divides my knowing light into pairs of sex-divided mirrors of let me start that over. My dual thinking divides my knowing light into pairs of sex-divided mirrors of the two opposed lights of my thinking. These electric mirrors of divided light reflect my light and life in them for manifesting my knowing and the one life of my being. Forever and forever, they interchange the dual reflected lights of my thinking for manifesting the continuance of my thinking. Yet they are not my light, nor are they my life, nor are they my being. I, my all-conscious being, alone live, and I alone think. Again, I say, all thinking is my thinking. Also, I say, when man thinks at all, he thinks with me as one, imagines with me as one, and builds his images with me as one. And when man is inspired by exalted thinking, know thou that it is I and him who am thinking as one with him. For I am the source of ecstasy and inspiration in man. Behold in me the silent voice which man may hear who hath inner ears to hear. And I am the light which man may see who hath the eyes of the spirit to see. For I say that insofar as man knows the ecstasy of inspiration in him, he hears my voice and sees my light in him. He then knows the mighty rhythms of my balanced thinking and thinks with me. Part 2. Ye in my high heavens, ye who are burdened of earth, and find rest. For I am rest, and I am love, and all the unchanging qualities which my thinking divides into paired quantities of sex-conditioned extensions of my light, which ever seek the rest in me from which they sprang. And never do they find rest while unaware of me in them, for they are but moving images of my imaginings, which forever move as sexed extensions of the sexless light from which they sprang. For moving things of clay forever move, knowing not that rest centers their moving as rest centers the shaft which forever moves around its very source of rest, from which its motion springs forth. Knowing not me, the source of rest in them, they cannot be that source around which they must forever move to seek that which they cannot find until they know me in them. Knowing not me in them, they are alone in all the universe, but knowing self of them as me in them, then they are me. Then they, with me, are all my universe. Verily I say, the power of moving things to move or to find rest is not in them. I alone am energy, and I am also rest. I am the fulcrum which extends the power to move from rest. Thine arm is not empowered to pulse alone, unextended from the rest point in thine heart, nor is one microscopic thing empowered to manifest me apart from me. Part 3. My rest and peace may be known by moving things which know my balance in them, and keep balance in them while thus moving. Moving things which manifest my knowing by equal interchanging void their moving, and thus find rest. But those which manifest me unequally cannot wholly void their moving. These shall leave an unvoided residue of motion as a debt of unbalance which must be paid to me before my rest may be known in them. For I am balance, and all moving things which extend from me must manifest my balance in them. And I am law. No rest can there be, nor can there be peace while my law remains broken by unbalanced even by one whit. For verily I give rest to moving things by equally dividing light of my knowing at rest in me to extending and retracting lights of my thinking. Knowing thou that as my knowing is balanced and at rest in me, so is my thinking balanced and rest in me. The extending light of my thinking multiplies the oneness of my knowing into many ones, to mother them as formed bodies made in pattern images of my knowing. The retracting lights gather all the many ones together in my oneness to father them in soul seed of me for again borning into pattern forms of many ones. In this wise, my formless knowing is imagined in many pattern moving forms, which seek rest from moving in the formlessness of my unity for reborning as many pattern moving forms. For I am rest, and my rest is my knowing. From my rest extends my balanced electric thinking. In action and reaction of my thinking, I am balanced always, for I am balance as I am also rest. When man's thinking is balanced in him, also it is in me, then shall he know rest in me as I know rest in me. Then shall his thinking be the ecstasy of his knowing, as my thinking is the ecstasy of my knowing. Know thou that mind of me is ecstasy always. I know neither grief nor pain, sorrow nor compassion, anger nor wrath, for these are qualities of unbalance, and unbalance is not in my house. Know that these unbalanced qualities are product of man's unbalanced thinking. They are alone in him. They are not in me. Part 4. He who knows not me in him first thinks himself as one of many separate and separable forms apart from all things else and me. In those his early days he knows not me in him, not suspecting me in him, even though his slightest move is mine. Yea, even though his very breathing is desire in me that he should breathe to manifest me in him, though unknowingly. Man then knows not himself as one seeming many forms of my imagining which springs from rest in me to manifest my knowing. Throughout long eons he walks the path of dark to find the path of light which leads to me. For I say that refoldment into self of me is not known by man for long eons, even as self of me is not known by him as self of him for long, long eons. In man's thinking, man begins to live as he leaves the mother womb which born him. And when he returns the clay of him to the clay of earth, he thinks of life as ending, knowing not that its beginning never was, nor could its ending ever be. For I say that life is alone in light of me, as love and knowing are alone in me. Tell thou to man that he who thinks life lives in him, knowing not my life in him, dies as often as he lives to die again. But he who lives to manifest me, knowing me in him, never dies. When eons pass and an immortal man walks my path, full knowing of his immortality, then shall he know my rest from whence cometh his power to manifest me worthily. The light of my all-knowing power and presence shall then be man's in the measure of his knowing. Hark you, therefore, to my counseling, and write it down for man in words which are mine and thine, not thine alone. For man's new day is dawning, when the many who have alone known the anguish of the dark shall find the rest through knowing the light of me in him as very self of him. Part 5. Write thou therefore that he who would find rest from burdens of his earth must transcend his earth and be not bound thereto. Even far above the mountain tops of earth he must rise into my kingdom of light which I am, as he also is, when he knows he also is. Say to man these my very words. Behold in me the fulcrum of my changing universe, which but manifests change, though I cannot nor move, for I am rest, in me alone is balance. He who would find power must know that he extends from rest in me, that I am he. He who would find rest must return to me, be fulcrum of his own power. For again I say, moving things have no power to move save it through my will, that they should move. And again I say, my will is but desire of my imaginings, for manifesting my imaginings through form-imaged extensions of my thinking, which manifests my knowing. Know then, therefore, that power to move is in my will for things to move in obedience to desire in me that moving things manifest my imagining. I center the moving shaft of my universe, yet I move not, though its power to move springs from rest in me. I center its growing systems, the changing cells of growing systems, yet I change not, even though their changing pattern waves spring from my eternal calm. I center seeming living things which reflect my power to manifest me in them, but they live not. I alone live. My balanced thinking expresses life and energy, which I alone am. But the thinker of the cosmos is not the cosmos, nor is the cosmos the thinker. Growing things are moving things in man's sensing, though they move not in man's knowing. Likewise, moving things are changing things in man's sensing, though they change not in man's knowing. Even though fast-moving things of man's sensing move fast, they simulate my rest, while moving, from which they sprang into seeming motion. My universe is but seeming forms of my imagining, which seems to move to record the dual pulsing of my balanced thinking. Wherefore I say the burdens of man are made by man in the image of his unbalanced thinking. Likewise the illnesses of man are fruit of his own making. Balanced thinking is an ecstasy which knows no burden, no fatigue, and no imperfection. For man's own unbalanced thinking emanate the toxins of fatigue, the divers sickness, and fears. Whatever I say, come unto me, ye self-burdened, find rest in me by being me. These are the words of thy Creator and mine, written truly from his illumining in me upon the mountaintop. End of part 1. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was the end of part 1B.